Senior Council Inspector Taiho sat in his dimly lit office aboard the massive Galactic Council station, his three-fingered hand moving across multiple holographic displays. The soft blue glow illuminated his scaled face as he studied the data streams with growing concern. Something about the human defense reports made his stomach twist. The numbers simply didn't add up. As head of the Military Assessment Division, Taiho had evaluated hundreds of species over his 30-year career. He'd seen every trick in the book, from hidden weapons platforms to cloaked shipyards. But this was different. The humans weren't just hiding something. They were hiding something massive. He pulled up the energy readings from Sector 7 again. The official human reports showed it as an empty region of space, just another dead zone between their colonies. But the quantum signatures told a different story. Massive power spikes, gravitational distortions, and radiation patterns that suggested enormous ships moving through the void. Administrator Sunmei, he called out, his voice echoing in the quiet office. Could you come look at this? His assistant glided into the room on her hover chair, her iridescent scales shimmering under the office lights. She had been with him for 5 years now, and he trusted her analytical mind completely. These anomalies in sectors 7 through 13, he said, gesturing at the displays. The energy signatures don't match their reported fleet movements. What do you make of it? Sunlight leaned forward, her large eyes narrowing as she studied the data. She pulled up additional screens, cross-referencing the readings with their long-range sensor logs. After several minutes of intense concentration, she looked up at Taiho with concern. Sir, these readings are impossible to ignore, she said firmly. The humans claim these sectors are empty, but our sensors are picking up clear quantum trails. Whatever's out there, it's big. Much bigger than anything the humans have officially declared. Taiho nodded grimly. The evidence was mounting. But what troubled him most was his recent diplomatic visit to Earth. He had expected to find a nervous, possibly hostile reception from a minor species under investigation. Instead, he had met Admiral J1, the Supreme Commander of Earth's Defense Forces. The meeting played back in his mind. The human admiral had welcomed him with remarkable composure, showing none of the anxiety typical of species under council scrutiny. J1 had calmly answered their questions, given them carefully controlled tours of Earth's official military installations, and maintained an air of quiet confidence throughout. Run a deep scan of Sector 9, Taiho ordered, focusing on the region where the energy signatures were strongest. Use the quantum resonance scanners. Whatever they're hiding out there, it's leaving traces we can detect. The scan results made both of them gasp. The quantum trails weren't random. They formed clear patterns, suggesting organized movement of massive objects. Regular patrol routes, maintenance activities, and what appeared to be combat drills. Sir, Sunmai whispered, these signatures, they're similar to the ones we detected around the ancient precursor ruins in the Arcturus sector. But that's impossible. No modern species has ever managed to activate precursor technology, let alone operate it at this scale. Taiho felt a chill run down his spine. If the humans had somehow managed to do the impossible, if they had found a way to restore precursor technology, it would change everything. The balance of power in the galaxy would shift overnight. He thought back to Admiral J1's knowing smile, the quiet confidence in his bearing. The humans weren't acting like a minor species because they weren't one. Not anymore. They were sitting on something massive, something that could reshape galactic politics forever. Prepare a priority report for the High Council, Taiho ordered, his voice grave. Mark it as highest classification. We need to convene an emergency session immediately. As Sunmei hurried to comply, Taiho stared out his office viewport at the endless starfield beyond. Out there, hidden in the darkness between those points of light, humanity's secret waited, and he had a feeling that when it finally emerged, nothing in the galaxy would ever be the same. He began drafting his report, knowing that his words would soon shake the foundations of the Galactic Council itself. The humans had played their cards close to their chest, for who knew how long, but the game was about to change. The only question was, what would they do with their hidden power once it was revealed? The quiet hum of the station seemed to grow louder in his ears as he worked, as if the very air was charged with the weight of his discovery. Something unprecedented was coming, and Taeho knew he would be remembered as the one who had first seen it coming. The next few days would determine the course of galactic history and humanity's true place in it. The ancient archives on Centaurid Prime stretched for miles underground. A vast labyrinth of data crystals and holographic records collected over thousands of years. In one of the deepest chambers, researcher Hay Newell sat surrounded by floating displays, her eyes burning from hours of scanning through precursor records. Most researchers avoided the precursor archives. The ancient civilization's disappearance 50,000 years ago remained the galaxy's greatest mystery, and their technological achievements had proved impossible to replicate. But Hay Newell had always been drawn to impossible puzzles. She rubbed her tired eyes, about to call it a day, when something in the data caught her attention. A reference to massive ship graveyards left behind after the Precursor's final war. She leaned forward, her heart racing as she cross-referenced the coordinates. "This can't be right," she muttered, pulling up modern star charts. The locations matched perfectly with current human territory, and more specifically, with the regions where Inspector Taeho had reported strange energy signatures. Her hand shook as she accessed more files. The precursor records described vast manufacturing facilities, shipyards capable of producing and maintaining fleets of thousands. And somehow, over the centuries, these facilities had fallen under human control without anyone noticing. "Director Jinwoo," she called out, her voice echoing through the quiet archives. "Director, you need to see this immediately." Jinwoo appeared from behind a row of data crystals, his usual calm demeanor showing irritation at the disruption. But Hay Newell knew this discovery would more than justify her excitement. "The precursor records," she explained, gesturing to her displays. "They mentioned manufacturing facilities, massive shipyards. And look at these coordinates. They're in regions that overlap exactly with current human territory." Jinwoo's irritation vanished as he studied the data. His eyes widened with each new detail. "These shipyards, they're in the exact locations where we're detecting those strange energy signatures. But how could humans possibly?" His voice trailed off as Hay Newell pulled up more records. The scale of what they were discovering began to sink in. The precursors had vanished 50,000 years ago, leaving behind ruins that no modern species had managed to fully understand or restore. Yet somehow, the humans might have done exactly that. "Look at these technical specifications," Hay Newell said, bringing up detailed schematics. "The power requirements for these facilities are astronomical. No wonder we're detecting energy signatures, if the humans have somehow reactivated even a fraction of these systems." Jinwoo's face had gone pale. "Do you realize what this means? If the humans have found a way to restore precursor technology, everything we thought we knew about them is wrong." Hay Newell nodded grimly. The records show these weren't just ordinary shipyards. They were capable of producing and maintaining warships on a scale we can barely imagine. Entire fleets could be hidden in these facilities. They spent the next several hours digging deeper into the archives, piecing together a picture that grew more alarming by the minute. The precursor shipyards had been designed to survive for millennia, lying dormant until they could be reactivated. And they had been built with automated repair and maintenance systems that could restore damaged ships to full functionality. The humans must have found these facilities decades ago, Jinwoo mused, pacing between the holographic displays. They'd had all this time to study them, to learn their secrets, while we dismissed them as a minor species. They were quietly becoming one of the most powerful forces in the galaxy, Hay Newell finished. "The question is, why haven't they revealed it? What are they waiting for?" The archive's soft humming seemed to grow louder as they contemplated the implications. The humans hadn't just stumbled upon some ancient ruins. They had discovered the greatest cache of military power in known space. and they had kept it hidden from everyone. "We need to report this to the council immediately," Jinwoo said, already reaching for his communicator. "But we have to be careful. If the humans realize we've discovered their secret." Hanul looked at the star charts again, at the vast regions of space, where humanity might be hiding unimaginable power. "Maybe that's exactly what they want," she suggested. "Maybe they're tired of hiding." The weight of their discovery hung heavy in the air. Somewhere out there, humanity was sitting on enough restored precursor warships to change the balance of power in the galaxy forever. The only question was, what would they do when their secret finally came to light? Jinwoo and Haenul shared a knowing look. They had just stumbled upon the biggest discovery in modern galactic history. And somehow, they suspected this was only the beginning of a much larger story. The Drachnid Empire's invasion fleet darkened the skies over Centauride Prime, their massive warships blocking out the stars themselves. The council chambers had erupted into chaos as reports came in of simultaneous attacks across 3 sectors. The Drachnids, long considered a minor threat, had somehow assembled the largest invasion force seen in centuries. Council Representative Kita stood at the emergency sessions podium, his voice nearly drowned out by the panic around him. "Our forces are being pushed back on all fronts. The Drachnid weapons are beyond anything we expected. We need immediate assistance from all member species." That's when the humans made their move. Admiral J1's face appeared on the council's main display, his expression calm despite the crisis unfolding around them. "The Earth Alliance offers its assistance to the council," he said simply. Some council members actually laughed. Earth was considered a minor power, barely able to defend its own territory. What could they possibly offer against an invasion force of this scale? But Admiral J1 wasn't finished. "We request all council ships clear the following coordinates immediately," he continued, transmitting a series of locations throughout human space. "What you're about to see may be surprising." The first signs came from deep space sensors, massive energy signatures erupting across human territory, far larger than anything their known technology could produce. Then the ships began emerging. They came from hidden docks, cloaked stations, and massive underground facilities. Not the crude vessels everyone expected from Earth, but sleek warships of unmistakable precursor design. Their silver hulls seemed to absorb light itself, their engines leaving trails of blue fire across space. On the bridge of his flagship, the Memory of Dawn, Admiral J1 watched with pride as 500,000 restored precursor vessels took formation. Each ship was a masterpiece of ancient engineering, restored to full functionality through centuries of secret human effort. "Impossible," Kita breathed, staring at the tactical displays. "No species has ever managed to restore precursor technology to functionality. The engineering challenges alone." The council chamber fell silent as the full scale of humanity's deception became clear. For centuries, they had maintained the appearance of a minor power, while secretly recovering and restoring the most powerful warships ever created. "The Earth Alliance stands ready to defend Council space," J1 announced. "The Drachnid Empire will learn today that they have made a grave miscalculation." The restored precursor fleet moved with impossible grace, their formations shifting like schools of fish through space. Ancient weapon systems, dormant for 50,000 years, powered up under human control. The ships seemed to respond to their crews as if they had been built for them. "How?" demanded one council member. "How did you manage this when every other species failed?" J1's smile was slight but proud. "Humanity's greatest strength has always been our ability to understand and adapt to new technologies. Where others tried to replicate precursor systems, we learned to work with them, to speak their language." The first engagement with the Drachnid forces proved decisive. A single wing of restored precursor ships tore through an entire enemy battle group. Their ancient shields shrugged off modern weapons like rain, while their counterattacks cut through Drachnid defenses as if they weren't there. From the council chambers, the assembled representatives watched in awe as humanity revealed the full extent of their hidden power. The precursor ships moved with perfect coordination, their human crews handling the ancient technology as naturally as breathing. "We kept this secret," J1 explained as his fleet continued its work, "because we needed to understand what we had found before revealing it to the galaxy. The power of these ships, it could have started a war if handled wrongly." The drachnid invasion faltered, then broke entirely as more precursor ships joined the battle. Their fleet, which had seemed unstoppable hours before, now fled in disarray before weapons they couldn't hope to match. In the council chambers, Kita watched the tactical displays with a mixture of relief and apprehension. Humanity had just saved them all, but in doing so, they had revealed themselves as possibly the most powerful species in known space. The galaxy would never be the same after this day. Humanity had played their hidden hand at last, and no one could predict what would come next. But as the restored precursor fleet continued its work, one thing was certain: the age of human ascendancy had begun. The emergency council session was held in the great circular chamber beneath the crystal spires of Centauri Prime. Representatives from 1,000 worlds gathered to hear how humanity had achieved what they had long thought impossible. The defeat of the drachnid invasion was still fresh in everyone's minds, but the bigger question remained: how had humans managed to master precursor technology? Chief Engineer Du-hyun stood at the center of the chamber, his simple Earth uniform standing out among the elaborate robes of the council members. Behind him, holographic displays showed detailed images of the restored precursor vessels that had so dramatically turned the tide of battle. "The key was in our approach," Du-hyun began, his voice calm despite the tension in the room. "Where other species tried to replicate precursor technology, we chose a different path. We focused on understanding it first, working with it rather than trying to copy it." He gestured to the displays, showing the interior of a precursor engine room. These ships weren't just machines. They were living things in their own way. They needed to be restored, not rebuilt. Each vessel had its own quirks, its own personality. "Impossible," interrupted Council Member Ralph Thor, his crystalline form shimmering with agitation. "Our finest minds spent millennia trying to activate precursor systems. The power requirements alone." Do-hyun nodded patiently. That was exactly the problem. Everyone assumed the power requirements were astronomical because they were trying to force the systems to work. "We discovered that the ships actually powered themselves, if you knew how to wake them properly." The chamber erupted in shocked murmurs. The power problem had been considered unsolvable, a fundamental barrier to restoring precursor technology. Yet humans had simply bypassed it entirely. "For 3 centuries, Du-hyun continued, we worked in secret. Each ship we found was a new puzzle to solve. We learned their language, not just the computer codes, but the way the ships themselves thought. Our adaptability, our ability to think in new ways, let us see solutions that others had missed." He brought up new images, showing human engineers working alongside automated precursor repair systems. The ships wanted to be restored. They had been waiting for someone who could understand them. "We didn't try to be their masters. We became their partners." The council chambers descended into chaos as the implications became clear. Humanity hadn't just restored a few ancient vessels. They had cracked the fundamental secrets of precursor technology, mastering systems that had baffled the galaxy's brightest minds for thousands of years. "But why keep it secret?" demanded Representative Kita. "Why hide such achievements? Would you have believed us?" Du-hyun asked simply. "More importantly, would you have allowed us to continue our work? We needed time to understand what we had found, to ensure we could use it responsibly." He showed more footage. Vast underground facilities where humans worked to restore the ancient ships. Each vessel took years to properly awaken. We had to learn their maintenance cycles, their repair protocols. The ships taught us as much as we taught them. The council members watched in stunned silence as Du-hyun explained how humanity had slowly built up their hidden fleet. They had found the first ship purely by accident, a derelict floating in deep space. It had taken 20 years just to understand its basic systems. But once we had one working ship, Du Hyun explained, it helped us find others. The precursors had left their vessels in dormant states throughout the galaxy. Each one we restored led us to more. The implications were staggering. Humanity hadn't just stumbled upon powerful weapons. They had unlocked the secrets of a civilization far more advanced than any known species. Their understanding of precursor technology meant they could potentially access other ancient systems as well. We're willing to share what we've learned, Du Hyun offered, bringing the chamber to sudden silence. But it has to be done carefully. This knowledge, this technology, it has to be used wisely. The council members looked at each other uneasily. Humanity was offering to share the greatest technological advancement in modern history, but they were also demonstrating just how far ahead they had gotten while everyone else wasn't looking. As the session continued, one thing became increasingly clear. The galaxy's understanding of humanity would never be the same. They had proven themselves not just clever, but capable of insights that other species had missed for millennia. Do Hyun's presentation ended with a simple statement that would be remembered for generations. We didn't succeed because we were smarter or stronger. We succeeded because we were willing to learn instead of assume, to adapt instead of force, and to persist when others would have given up. The Grand Council chamber had never seen such heated debates. 2 days had passed since Chief Engineer Do Hyun's revelations about humanity's mastery of precursor technology, and the political shockwaves were still spreading through the galaxy. Council Speaker Yoon Yi stood at the central podium, her voice carrying across the vast chamber. "This changes everything," she declared, silencing the ongoing arguments. Humanity can no longer be considered a minor power. Their demonstration against the drachnid fleet and their mastery of precursor technology have established them as a major force in galactic politics. The chamber erupted into chaotic discussions once again. Different species began taking sides, forming alliances and opposition groups faster than anyone could track. The political landscape of the galaxy was shifting by the hour. Minister Jai-ho, representing the Technological Development Coalition, pushed through the crowd to take the speaker's platform. "We demand immediate sharing of all precursor technological insights," he announced, his metallic skin reflecting the chamber's lights. "This knowledge belongs to all species, not just humans." Shouts of agreement rose from some sections of the chamber, while others responded with angry protests. The division was growing deeper by the minute. Ambassador Minna, known for her diplomatic skills, took a different approach. She glided to the center of the chamber, her hovering platform positioning her where all could see. "We should be discussing immediate alliance with Earth," she suggested. "Their technological achievements make them natural partners for the Council's advancement." From the shadows of the chamber's upper tiers, darker voices emerged. "They deceived us all for centuries," growled Representative Kerr of the Militant Systems Alliance. "They built a secret fleet that could overwhelm any defense we possess. How can we trust them now?" Admiral J1 had been watching silently from Earth's delegation pod. Now he moved forward, his calm presence drawing all eyes. "We kept this secret not out of malice, but necessity," he explained, his voice steady. "We needed to understand our capabilities before revealing them. The power we discovered could have destabilized the galaxy if handled wrongly." The chamber grew quiet as he continued. "Think about it. If we had announced our first discovery 3 centuries ago, what would have happened? Every species would have demanded immediate access to the technology. Wars might have broken out over control of precursor sites. We chose to wait until we could ensure responsible use of this power." His words made sense, but they didn't ease everyone's fears. The Council had split into 3 main factions: those who wanted to force humanity to share their knowledge, those who sought alliance, and those who saw humans as a threat to be contained. "What guarantees can Earth offer?" demanded Council Elder Sim, his ancient voice cutting through the noise. "How do we know you won't use this power to dominate the galaxy?" Admiral J1's response was simple but powerful. "We just saved the Council from the drachnid invasion. We revealed our fleet not to threaten, but to protect. Judge us by our actions, not your fears. The political maneuvering continued through the day and into the night. Trade agreements were proposed and rejected. Military alliances were suggested and disputed. Some species even threatened to leave the council if their demands weren't met. Through it all, the human delegation maintained their composure. They had prepared for this moment for centuries, knowing that when their secret finally came out, it would shake the foundations of galactic society. "We propose a new framework," Admiral J1 announced near the session's end. "A gradual sharing of precursor technology, coupled with careful oversight to prevent misuse. We'll teach other species our methods, but only if they agree to use this knowledge responsibly." His proposal sparked fresh debates, but it also offered a way forward. Many council members began to see the wisdom in humanity's cautious approach. They had proven themselves not just powerful, but thoughtful in their use of that power. As the session finally wound down, Council Speaker Yoon, he made one final declaration. "The galaxy stands at a crossroads. Humanity has shown us not just new technology, but perhaps a new way of thinking. How we respond to this revelation will shape the future for all species." The political fallout would continue for months, but that day marked the beginning of a new era in galactic politics. Humanity had emerged from the shadows, and the galaxy would never be quite the same again. The massive drachnid fleet emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the Sol system, their warships stretching across space like a metal cloud. Despite their earlier defeat, the drachnids had regrouped and launched a desperate attack on Earth itself, hoping to eliminate humanity before they could fully deploy their precursor fleet. Fleet Commander Su Jin stood on the bridge of the precursor flagship Eternal Dawn, watching as the enemy ships approached. Around her, the ancient ship hummed with power, its systems responding to her crew's thoughts as much as their actions. They'd brought their entire remaining fleet, her tactical officer reported. Over 10,000 ships, including their new dreadnoughts. They're moving into attack formation. Su Jin allowed herself a small smile. The drachnids had no idea what they were about to face. "Signal Admiral J1. Request permission to engage with full force." The Admiral's response came quickly. "Permission granted. Show them what these ships can really do." At Su Jin's command, 500 precursor vessels emerged from their hidden positions around Earth. Their silver hulls gleamed in the sunlight as they took formation, moving with impossible grace for ships of their size. The drachnid fleet opened fire first, thousands of energy beams and plasma torpedoes streaking across space. Su Jin watched calmly as the ancient shields absorbed the attacks without even flickering. What would have devastated a modern fleet couldn't even scratch precursor defenses. "All ships, weapons free," she ordered. "Show them why the precursors ruled the galaxy." The response was devastating. Weapons that had been waiting 50,000 years to fire again sprang to life. Beams of pure white energy lanced out from the precursor ships, passing through drachnid shields as if they weren't there. Entire dreadnoughts were cut in half with single shots. "Their shields are useless," Su Jin's tactical officer reported with awe. "The precursor weapons operate on principles they can't even detect, let alone defend against." The drachnids tried to maneuver, bringing their fastest ships around for attack runs. But the precursor vessels moved like living things, their ancient drive systems allowing them to turn and accelerate in ways that seemed to deny physics itself. Su Jin watched as centuries of preparation paid off. Every restored system, every carefully learned secret of precursor technology was now proving its worth. "All those years of restoration work," she whispered. "This is what the precursors were capable of." The battle quickly turned into a rout. Drachnid ships were exploding or fleeing in every direction. Their commanders had expected to face a newly revealed fleet of powerful ships. Instead, they were fighting against technology so advanced it made their best weapons look like children's toys. "Enemy fleet is breaking up," the tactical officer reported. "They're trying to retreat, but our drives are faster than their jump engines. Should we pursue?" Su Jin considered for a moment. "Negative. Let them run. They'll spread the word of what happened here. Perhaps it will prevent future conflicts. As the remaining drachnid ships fled, Su-Jin walked through her ship's corridors, running her hand along the smooth walls. The ancient vessel seemed to pulse under her touch, as if expressing satisfaction at finally fulfilling its purpose again. The bridge crew was checking damage reports, or rather confirming the complete lack of damage. Not a single precursor ship had been scratched. Their ancient shields had proven completely impenetrable to modern weapons. "Send word to Earth Command," Su-Jin ordered. "The threat has been eliminated. The Sol system is secure." As the message was sent, she thought about how this battle would be remembered. It wasn't just a victory. It was a demonstration of power that would change galactic warfare forever. The gap between precursor technology and modern capabilities had been dramatically displayed for all to see. "Fleet Commander," her communications officer called out. "We're receiving messages from dozens of Council worlds. They all want to know. They're asking if we'll help protect them too." Su-Jin nodded. This was just the beginning. Humanity had shown what they could do, and now they would have to decide how to use this power responsibly. The ancient ships had proven themselves in battle. Now came the harder task of proving humanity worthy of wielding them. "Tell Earth Command we'll maintain patrol positions," she ordered. "The real work begins now." In the months following the Drachnid Empire's defeat, the galaxy held its breath, waiting to see how humanity would use their newfound power. Many expected Earth to establish dominance through force, using their fleet of precursor warships to dictate terms to the Council. Instead, what followed surprised everyone. Admiral J1 stood before the assembled Council, his expression serene as he laid out humanity's vision for the future. "We propose a new charter," he announced, "one that emphasizes cooperation and mutual defense. The precursor fleet will not belong to Earth alone, but to all species who commit to protecting galactic peace." The Council chamber erupted in murmurs of surprise and skepticism. Dr. Yu-Jin, the lead researcher who had helped unlock the precursor ship's secrets, stepped forward to explain further. "The ships were not the precursor's greatest legacy," she said, bringing up holographic displays of ancient data. "In their databanks, we found something far more valuable: their philosophy of unity and preservation. They believed that advanced technology without wisdom would lead to destruction." She showed recordings from the precursor archives, revealing glimpses of a civilization that had achieved wonders, but ultimately valued cooperation over dominance. They left their ships dormant, waiting for species who would understand this message. Over the following weeks, humanity began sharing their discoveries with other species. Training centers were established where humans taught others their methods for understanding and working with precursor technology. The process was slow but meaningful. Minister Se-young oversaw the creation of a new galactic defense force, where crews from all species learned to operate the restored vessels together. "Today marks a new chapter in galactic history," she declared at the first joint training session. "Not because of the ships, but because humanity showed us that the impossible just takes patience and determination." The changes spread beyond military matters. Precursor medical technology, carefully restored by human scientists, began healing diseases that had plagued other species for millennia. Their environmental systems helped restore planets damaged by centuries of exploitation. Yet humanity remained careful with how they shared these discoveries. "We learned from the precursor's own records," Admiral J1 explained to the Council. "They fell because they gave too much power to species who weren't ready for it. We won't make the same mistake." Instead of simply handing over technology, humans focused on teaching other species how to understand it themselves. They established schools where the patience and adaptability that had allowed humans to master precursor systems could be taught to others. The galaxy entered a new era of cooperation and discovery. Species that had once competed now worked together, exploring the vast network of precursor sites the humans had mapped over the centuries. Each new discovery brought not just technological advances, but deeper understanding of the ancient civilization's wisdom. Former enemies found themselves working side by side in restored precursor facilities. The drachnids, humbled by their defeat, were among the first to embrace the new order, their engineers working alongside human teachers to understand the technology that had so thoroughly defeated them. The precursors left us a roadmap, Dr. Yu Jin explained during a lecture at the new Galactic Academy. Not just to technological advancement, but to surviving that advancement. They learned their lessons through bitter experience, and encoded those lessons in their legacy. The old power structures of the galaxy gradually transformed. Species that had once dominated through force found themselves having to adapt to a new kind of strength, one based on understanding and cooperation, rather than weapons and threats. As the first year of the new era drew to a close, humanity's position was secure but not dominant. They had become teachers and guides rather than conquerors, showing the galaxy a different path to advancement. The impossible just takes patience became a common saying among council species, echoing Minister Se-young's words. It represented not just the technical achievements humanity had shown were possible, but the greater achievement of changing how an entire galaxy thought about power and progress. The precursor ships still patrolled council space, but now they carried mixed crews from dozens of species. Each vessel became a floating testament to what could be achieved when ancient wisdom was combined with modern cooperation. The galaxy had changed forever, but not through war or conquest. Instead, humanity had shown that the greatest power lay not in weapons, but in the willingness to learn, to teach, and to work together towards something greater than any single species could achieve alone.